Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out to this press conference. And my name is Michelle Robidoux, and I'm with the War Resistor Support Campaign. And we have a few speakers here today to talk about the decision in the pre-removal risk assessment for Corey Glass, a U.S. war resistor. Mon nom est Michelle Robidoux, je suis avec la campagne d'appui aux résistants à la guerre, et on va avoir plusieurs conférenciers qui vont s'adresser à la question de la décision dans l'examen des risques avant l'envoi de Corey Glass, qui est un résistant à la guerre américain. So our first speaker is Corey Glass, who is the war resistor who received the decision today. And Corey is going to read a statement. Le premier conférencier est Corey Glass, qui va nous lire une déclaration.
So I was born in Fairmount, Indiana in 2002. I joined the National Guard. When I joined the National Guard, they told me that the only way I would be in combat is if there were troops occupying the United States. Signed up to defend people and do humanitarian work, like filling sandbags if there's a hurricane. I had no conception I would be deployed to fight in foreign shores. In 2005, I was deployed to Campagne near Balad, Iraq. My job in Iraq was military intelligence. Through this job, I had access to lots of information about what was happening on the ground in Iraq. Through what I saw, I realized innocent people were being killed unjustly. I tried to quit the military while in Iraq. My commander told me I was stressed out and needed R&R because I was doing a job that I wasn't trained to do. When I went home on leave, I said I would not be returning. I was told desertion is punishable by death. I was able in America for 8 months. I searched the internet for desertion and found out about U.S. war resistors in Canada. I arrived in Toronto 2 weeks later. I should have been in New Orleans and not Iraq, I believe. I've been in Toronto since August 2006. In almost 2 years I've been here. I've been self-sufficient and I've made many friends and I've built a life here. I don't think it's fair that I should be returned to the United States to face unjust punishment for doing what I felt morally obligated to do. I appeal to the Canadian people and the Canadian government to honor their tradition of respect for human rights and support my decision not to participate in this unjust war.
All of us, the United Church, Mennonite Central Committee Canada, the Canadian Friends Service Committee, which is the service arm of the Quakers in Canada, and the American Friends Service Committee, all are signatories of the Declaration, the War Resistor Declaration. And our concern for conscientious objectors around the world leads us to speak out against the decision today to order the first deportation of a U.S. war resistor that's come to Canada seeking refuge. Some may question whether or not members of an all-volunteer army have rights of asylum. Well, they do. The UN High Commission for Refugees Handbook, which is the standard bearer for assessing refugees, answers to such questions. It states that a soldier, to qualify for asylum, a soldier must show that the performance of military service would have required his participation in military action contrary to his genuine political, religious, or moral convictions, or to valid reasons of conscience. Well, I think there's no doubt that all of the resistors in Canada meet that litmus test. But it actually goes further than that, that in fact, being in disagreement with your government isn't enough, but that the type of military action has to be condemned by the international community. Well, I don't think there's much doubt about that either with the Iraq war. You have countries around the world that refuse to participate in the war. You have the UN Secretary General having pronounced that the war was illegal because it didn't meet the standards of the UN Charter. And in turn, you now have many, many documented cases of human rights abuses that have happened during the course of that war. So then that leads me, I guess us collectively, to ask what further evidence is needed to demonstrate that the burden of proof for international condemnation and to refuse in this war is actually an act of conscience that's worthy of asylum. Sadly today, I think Canada's failed Corey Glass. But more than that, it's failed Canadians who themselves believe in protecting not only those who are at risk of torture and persecution, but also those who've done the right thing. Their punishment will be tantamount to persecution. And Canada, which has so warmly welcomed tens of thousands of men and women from Vietnam and other wars, has regrettably taken a step backwards in demonstrating moral stewardship. Punishment was not a requisite outcome for these conscientious objectors, but it will be their destiny unless Canadians themselves speak up and tell the government of Canada not to deport these young people and to let them stay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I got involved in this campaign because of my background and because I trusted in the Canadian tradition of welcoming people who are opposed to illegal wars, especially wars that Canada itself refuses to participate in. And so I trusted that in the end, we would not be coming to have a day like this. This is a dark day in my life, and I'm very displeased to have to be here and disappointed in the government of Canada, which seems to be doing the dirty work of the American government in rounding up people that don't want to fight in George Bush's Iraq war when they come to Canada and put their faith in this country, hoping that they can stay here and build a life in peace in a country that respects human rights. We're going to be asking all our supporters across the country to get in touch with the Prime Minister, Mr. Harper, get in touch with the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Dion, because we had a motion passed in the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration on December 6th, which would have blocked the situation that Corey is in today and would block the situation that other war resistors may soon be in. That resolution will hopefully come before the House of Commons in due course, and we're calling upon the members of the House of Commons, especially the parties that joined together in the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration, to pass that motion, even if the government members vote against it as they did in committee. We're calling on Mr. Stephen Harper to respect and uphold the tradition of this country in welcoming people who dissent from wrong policies in the United States, a tradition that goes all the way back to slavery, when many slaves came here, certainly goes back to the Vietnam War, when tens of thousands of people like myself came to this country and were welcomed. We think it's time for Canada to step up to the plate again on this issue. So we're calling on all our supporters, we're calling on all Canadians to get in touch with the Leader of the government, to get in touch with the Leader of the Opposition, to put pressure on the people in Parliament who make the decisions and get them to say no to this evil act which our government is about to perpetrate on a very decent and honest man, Corey Glass, and which it may perpetrate on others like him who have come to this country because of their moral conviction that they must not take part in a wrong war, in a wrongful war, a war which even now in the United States most people oppose and which most people regret that they got into in the first place. Let not Canada become an enforcement arm for the Pentagon and round up people who, because of their loyalty to what their conscience tells them, have come to this country and put their trust in it. We know that most Canadians are on side with this, with the war resistors. We know most Canadians welcome them. We demand and we urge the government of this country to do what Canadians want done. We demand and we urge the Leader of the Opposition and the Liberal Party to do what is necessary to keep them in Canada and allow them to live in peace.